Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what we would expect to happen next under these recent developments. As I get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, then why not go ahead and check it out, linked in the description down below. Let's jump right down into this video and talk about the recent developments of what occurred last night and what that might mean going forward here for BTC. So yesterday we saw the bulls taking the control of the situation and trying to push for that weekly close. They got the weekly close in a pretty strong position. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's changed within our structures, right? So this is the thing with Elliott wave theory that a lot of people don't seem to understand. It isn't like a kind of go-to, you follow the structures all the way through. It's all about probabilities and tracking the herd mentality. Now, if, of course, that herd decide to shift and change how they're acting, then, of course, the structures are going to change with them. Okay, we're tracking people here. We're not just tracking candlesticks. So we're going to talk about the Elliott wave theory side of things, and we're also going to jump into this smart money concept. So we'll probably just start off with the Elliott wave theory to start with and take a look at what's been going on here and then jump over into the smart money. Okay, so one of the things that happened yesterday, we pushed up higher than we would have liked to have done within our 5-wave structure here. And as I said before, it is possible that we've already completed a expanding diagonal structure. So as I was talking about yesterday, we were either still inside this 5-wave count or we had completed it. If we had completed it, then of course we were looking for a move to the upside. Okay, but there were some key levels with that we need to also acknowledge. So let's go ahead and run the assumption that we've completed the 5 waves and see what that looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and just tidy out some of this noise. Okay, and we'll then just take our 5th wave. Our 5th wave would be here, truncating, failing to actually come down. And then essentially what we've got is a diagonal structure that would basically be a wave 1, wave 2 into a wave 3 over here, 4 up to here, and 5 down to here. Now this particular structure we have to cross-check and reference. In fact, actually, no, it would be the wave 1 would be here with an irregular flat right in here. So essentially we'd have an A, B, and C like that. Okay, so we have that irregular flat. Anyway, moving on, if we measure the distance here, on this wave 1 would have to be the shortest wave under this particular type of diagonal structure. We'd pull that over here. We can see that, yes, wave 3 would be longer. And then, of course, we would acknowledge that wave 5 is even longer than wave 3. And that there would be an expanding diagonal structure. We have a really interesting kind of move to the end there as well. Then, of course, we get that break to the upside. So if that is our 5th wave movement, then, well, that's fine. We would have had all of this area here coming down and basically being our wave 3. But here's the problem. The problem comes in because this little move here crossed over our wave 1 situation, and that's not allowed. Okay, so we have 5 wave counts. You can't really have that movement across there. So I'll keep a close eye on it because it's still possible that we here, in fact, have a really big diagonal structure and we just can't see it yet. Okay, so there's interesting kind of things that are still going on. The reason that we can't be bullish right now, like in terms of going up higher above 31,000, is that until we kind of explain what's going on with this count here and this count here, okay, that 5-wave move and that 5-wave move, we have a problem. They need to be accounted for. So in Elliott wave theory, as I said, you're tracking people's behavior. This behavior in these two areas of the chart are quite critically important. So the move from 30,000 down to the low down here at around 26,900 is an important structure. It's important that we understand, you know, what's potentially going on there. And in fact, if I start wrapping this up, you would even see this as a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? And so with this structure, we have to consider, okay, well, we've got 5 waves coming down from 31K. Okay, now we were looking for a wave 3, and that wave 3 can't really be a diagonal unless, of course, it's a big wave 1 within that wave 3. And that's really where this complication comes in. But where we have to kind of call it a spade when we see it, we've seen significant move to the upside here, okay, and that does change the structures. So maybe instead of thinking of this as, and something I was talking about a few days ago, probably a week or so ago, it's possible that this is not the impulsive structure that we were looking for, but instead is in fact just a zigzag pattern and we've now completed the zigzag, right? And which basically means we can see reversal to the upside. Okay, so it's always possible that we have this potential here. So really what we're looking for now is a push above 20. Actually, it's a push above 30,036. If we can do that, then we can be very confident that, you know, we've kind of finished this structure to the downside at the moment, and we can talk about a move to the upside. Okay, so there's a few things here that we have to be a little bit mindful of. And again, nothing here is terribly too unusual. I can obviously show you this outside of the Elliott wave theory structures in a moment, because Elliott wave theory is complex. It can be very confusing, and it does lead people into believing that it simply doesn't work. And this is because A, you either don't know what it is you're looking at, B, it's too complicated and you don't know where to start, and therefore you draw it incorrectly. Okay, so there's lots of things that can go wrong with Elliott wave theory. I don't get it right all the time either, right? It's very, very complex. But when you do get it right, it's very, very accurate and very predictive. And because it's tracking, as I said, people's behavior. So for now, we can see that we've had a good move up, and you can see here that the bulls pushed us up into this range to basically make sure that that gets invalidated. So the bulls went for the weekly close, they got the weekly close, and that's great, because that does mean that we can see some form of progression. And again, as I've been talking about for a little while, although I was expecting a bit of a move to the downside before we saw a move and a swing in the market, it doesn't always mean that they're going to play out exactly like that. And here you can see that swing in the market back to the upside. Okay, I've been talking about $28,000 to $29,000 for quite some time, and you can see that we pushed up into $28,000. Okay, so nothing here is terribly too unusual or out of kilter of what we've been talking about. The only difference here is trying to time that move to the upside. I expected us to have a little bit more time to kind of finish off the structure, but it looks like maybe we truncated here, completed it, and now we've moved up to that 20K to 28K range. Now, as you can see on the stochastic RSI, we are overbought on our daily, overbought on the 20-hour, 16-hour, 12-hour, 8-hour, 4-hour, but not on the hourly. So the hourly shows us with some small maybe progression to the upside, some kind of bounce here, but ultimately we're now looking for a pretty decent correction. Let's go over to the smart money concepts. So smart money concepts had this false flag over here of a change of character from bearish to bullish. It lasted all of about 3 hours, and then we can see here that we actually moved back down. Now, in fact, I say that's probably a bit of an exaggeration. It's probably more like 12 hours or so. And we can see here we changed back to our change of characterization to bearish. Okay, and then of course we move back up and we get another confirmation that we are bullish. Now, this in itself, to me, just looks like we're being manipulated. Okay, it's being pushed and pulled, looking for liquidity. And as such, we're getting some false flags occurring. Okay, now we can also see that on this move to the downside, okay, when we had this false flag here, we saw that there were some fair value gaps that were created that pushed the price up, churning it into this bullish state. And then we saw some fair value gaps dragging us down, okay, here into the next kind of let me just grab this. Next kind of low ranges, right? And so you can see that there basically are institutional players pushing the price of Bitcoin to grab the liquidity, liquidating any of those long positions. And then, of course, on the flip of that, all these fair value gaps got filled out, okay? And now we're left with some more fair value gaps. You can see 3 of them here as we were pushed up through equilibrium and up into this weak high range now. Okay, so again, we have this change of character. So you know, we look at these fair value gaps and I think to myself, well, 26,900, if we come back down here, what's that going to do? It's not going to change the characteristic, I don't think, but it will fill out those gaps and all that kind of good stuff. So again, we can see here that the bulls or the institutional manipulators were basically pushing the price of Bitcoin to the upside. This can also be seen when we take a look at the volume, and you can see that the volume here was coming in and pushing in its unusually high volume. But for the most part, you can see that volumes were actually decreasing when there wasn't institutional involvement. And as soon as there's institutional involvement, you can see here the volume spikes up. You can see the fair value gap gets created over here. Volume spikes up, fair value gap gets created. Okay, and then you can see right up here some volume balancing out. Okay, some buying and selling and liquidity sits up here, cooling off now. Okay, volume's dropping down. So not too much involvement right now. Our stochastic RSI still shows some room to the upside, but we are right up inside that selling block. You can see that right up here in that double top kind of range. And yeah, for the most part, it's looking quite interesting now for what might actually occur next. Might be a small pull to the downside. Now, on our weekly time frame, we've just started to tilt it back up again. Okay, we were correcting down to the oversold range, and now it's starting to move back up. So again, not giving us some promise here. And again, we are still getting rejected from our supply range. Okay, it's got a lot of orders in this range, a lot of sell orders to chew through. So price to get past 31,800 is going to be a bit of a challenge in itself. So I'm just being really mindful here that yes, we've seen a bit of a push to the upside. It isn't unusual. We have been talking about it for quite some time. At least it feels like I've been talking about it for quite some time. The structure, yes, it's very unfortunate that we didn't quite hit our lower range target here at 25 before we got the bounce. And the bounce does basically make it look like we are in a zigzag pattern. And that's good and bad at the same time. So we'll have to see what happens next here, because there's two possibilities in my mind. Possibility number one, we have a simple corrective structure up, but we do not break 31k. And the other one is that we have that correction to the upside, and then we move back down, and it becomes a big diagonal, and that would be really bearish. And this is really coming down to the macro views not looking brilliant either. So I'm not optimistic at the moment. We'll still wait to see whether we can break the trend line. Approximately this is coming in at about 28,700 approximately. So something to that effect. And whether or not we're going to get rejected from here and come back down and start thinking about testing those lower trend lines again. But yeah, for now, it is what it is. We'll see how that kind of goes to see what's going on. With smart money, we'll come down and fill those fair value gaps and take it from there. So I'm going to leave the video right at that point. If you found it useful and informative, smash the like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, linked in the description down below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors. None of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.